boys and girls. We are going to read a narrative nonfiction called This Is Your Lifecycle by Heather Lynn Miller. Now, although this text is factual, it also presents a situation that is fantasy. Now, when we read such a text, it is important to keep track of key ideas and details to be sure that we understand what is real and what is not. So it is a good idea for you to summarize the text. Now, summarizing means restating the most important information or main ideas in your own words. Authors of narrative nonfiction may include illustrations and diagrams to support the information in the text. Now, these graphic features may include details that should be part of a good summary. Now, here we have an anchor chart that's going to help remind us of the details in a summary. So you should, as you're reading and listening to our story, This Is Your Life Cycle, I want you to think about how you could summarize that story. So here's what we're going to do when we summarize. Step 1, find headings and subheadings. 2, find the main ideas. We remove unnecessary information. Remove repeated information. And we replace lists with general wording. We write short topic sentences. And finally, we combine topic sentences into a short summary. And that will help us summarize what we have just read. Now, we're going to practice summarizing when we read This Is Your Life Cycle. Now, here's what we're going to do, boys and girls. We are going to be reading right now, This Is Your Life Cycle. We have been studying life cycles. Now, I should have brought my book with me. Of course, I forgot it. And so this will be good practice for us. So what I want you to do, boys and girls, is I want you to turn to page 18 in your reading book. And so this text is a multi-genre text. Multi means more than one. Multi means more than one. It is both a narrative nonfiction and a fantasy. Narrative nonfiction is factual information. A fantasy is an unrealistic fiction story. So this story is 2 types of genres. First off, it is a narrative nonfiction. So we're going to get factual information from our story, but it is also a fantasy story. So it cannot happen. It's unrealistic. So authors of narrative nonfiction texts may organize their ideas around a central or main idea. So there is going to be a central or main idea in our story. And we can kind of maybe figure out what do we think could be the main idea of our story. We can kind of think of that maybe based on our title. Narrative nonfiction includes visuals such as photographs, illustrations, maps, and diagrams. So we're probably going to be wanting to look for text and graphic features in this selection. Fantasies are unrealistic. They include talking animals or characters and objects with special powers. So that is going to be in our story today because it is a fantasy. Now, look at our title. It says, This Is Your Life Cycle with special guest, Dahlia the dragonfly. Now, I want you to think about the title and genre of this text. This text is about a dragonfly. I want us to think about that. I want you to kind of look through your text. Look through it. Look through your pages. Look through your pages, because we're going to try to think about what is the purpose, why do we think the author wrote this story? author wrote this, what do you want to know? What do you think you want to know about dragonflies? Avery.
I want to know that how they shed their skin.
How they shed their skin. What would you like to know? Yes. Olive.
Why and how they glow.
Why and how they glow. Yes.
Where are they born?
Where are they born? Yes. Anastasia.
What dragonflies start out as.
What they start out as. That's a good question. Patty.
What they eat.
What do they eat? Yes.
How many are there in the world?
How many are there? Yes. What would you like to know, Juliana?
How do they look?
What do they look like? That's an interesting question. So why don't you write what you would like to learn about dragonflies? So you can write down what you think you're going to learn, what you would like to learn. Why do you think the author wrote this story? Write that down. Why do you think the author wrote this story? What does he or she, it's a she, why do you think she wrote this? What do you think she wants us to know? Yanni, what do you think the author wants us to know?
What dragonfly life cycle?
Yes, he might want us to know about the life cycle of a dragonfly. Yes, Alice?
What are the life cycles of insects?
About the life cycles of insects. Juliana?
Is the life cycle of the dragonflies the same as other animals?
If it's like other animals, the life cycle of a dragonfly, so like other animals, that's an interesting fact. Now, boys and girls, I want you to look at pages 20 and 21 for a minute. Now, the author and illustrator are going to introduce the game show host, because this is like a game show. And it's a talking insect named Bob Beetle. Now, this is a game show about the life of an insect. Now, I want you to note that the TV game show features things such as there's like a spotlight. Can you see the spotlight on the game show host Bob Beetle? There's a microphone, he's holding a microphone. There's an audience, you see the audience and they're holding signs. There's an assistant. You see the assistant there, off to the right?
Yeah.
There's an audience, there's an assistant, like Vanna White on Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
Who's ever seen Wheel of Fortune? Okay, that's a game show. And they have Vanna, she turns the letters, well, she actually touches them. She used to turn them a long time ago, before she just touched them. She used to actually have to physically turn the letter. Now she just touches the letter. But in the olden days, she used to have to turn the letter. But yeah, there's an assistant. So boys and girls, now this is a parody or a takeoff at an old TV show where contestants meet mystery guests from their past who remind them of important times in their life. Now, this is kind of a fun way to learn about the life of an insect. So do you think this could be a fun way to do that? I think so. I think that this will be a fun way to learn about the life of an insect. So, but before we do that, I want to learn about, of course, the author and illustrator who came up with this great idea. So like a lot of writers, Heather Lynn Miller had to keep at it for a long time before she got the answer she hoped for from a publisher. Yes. After sending lots of her stories and ideas to publishers, one of her stories was on its way to becoming a picture book. She must have liked the feeling because more picture books soon followed. Michael Chesworth is a writer and illustrator who has also found time to animate popular stories by authors such as Bill Martin and Patricia McKeesack. As his illustrations in This Is Your Life Cycle show, he's got a way with insects.
This is your Lifecycle, with special guest Dahlia the dragonfly. Written by Heather Lynn Miller, illustrated by Michael Chesworth. Good evening, larvae, nymphs, and insects. This is Bob Beadle, welcoming you to another episode of This is Your Lifecycle, the show that follows the life cycle of everybody's favorite class of animals, the insects. Each week, we take our cameras to the hot spots of the bug world to follow insects as they begin their lives as eggs, hatch as nymphs or larvae, and molt into fully developed adults. Larvae, insects that have just hatched and haven't yet changed to their adult form, are called larvae. Molt. When insects or other animals molt, they lose their outer covering, such as skin or feathers. Tonight, we're coming to you live from a swamp, hidden by darkness under the branch of a weeping willow. It may look peaceful from here, but beneath the surface of the water, our special guest, Dahlia, has spent the past 2 years fighting for her life.
Okay, so this selection is different from many informational texts because it has both story elements and information. I can retell the plot this way. This is a TV game show. The host is Bob Beadle. Bob introduces himself, says the show is about the life cycle of insects, and says today's guest is named Dahlia. She lives in a swamp. Dahlia. Bob also presents information about the life cycle of insects. I can summarize that insects begin life as eggs. Next they hatch as nymphs or larvae. Then they molt. So I'll be reading about Dahlia's life cycle.
That's right, folks. Dahlia has slipped through the jaws of hungry predators like frogs, fish, turtles, ducks. Gasp! Hooray! Breathe easy, my friends. Dahlia is one tough little nymph and has managed to escape death by living under the cover of rotting leaves, dead logs, and thick swamp grasses. Word from the pond says she's become quite a fierce little predator herself. Why, just last week, the Daily Buzz reported seeing Dahlia chomp away at an unsuspecting tadpole. Unsuspecting. If you are unsuspecting, you do not notice something that is happening or may happen. The Daily Buzz. Dahlia makes nab. Too bad for Tad. Give me a G. Give me an O. Give me a go, go, go. Go, Dahlia.
So what stage of the insect life cycle is Dahlia in? What is she? What is she? Logan? Nymph. Very good. And how do you know that? How do we know that? Avery?
In the text evidence, because it says that she's, it says Dahlia is one who comes in.
Yes, the text evidence is a one tough little nymph. Very good. What does Dahlia do that shows she too is a predator? Anastasia?
She catches a tadpole.
She catches a tadpole. Very good.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've just been told that Fly Guy is standing by with exciting news. Guy, what do you see? Bob, I'm doing a flyby of the water's surface now. I get the strong sense that something amazing is about to happen. Hold on. The water is beginning to ripple. I think Dahlia may be ready to emerge. I'm going to try to land on a nearby twig for a closer look. Can you see anything, Guy? Bob, I see something. She's pulling herself out of the water with her strong front legs. We should see her head any moment now. Remember, audience, we need complete silence. We don't want to frighten Dahlia. Shh. Males and females, please welcome Dahlia the dragonfly. Who are you? Where am I? Did I reach the surface? Yes, you did, Dahlia, and today is your lucky day. You're the first dragonfly to emerge on every insect's favorite show. This is your life cycle.
So, who is Fly Guy? Who's Fly Guy? Kelsey.
The cameraman.
Is he the cameraman? He's a cameraman and a what? Yanni?
He's a reporter.
Yeah, a cameraman and a reporter. And how do we know that? How do we know that? Clark?
So he's like flying over with the camera and trying to record stuff.
Yes, and what else do they say that lets us know that he's a reporter? Anastasia?
It says guy when you see.
What else? Yes. Kelsey? He's saying the exciting news. Oh, flyby, yes, Juliana?
You know what Fly is a reporter is because he's in the water and he's trying to see what's happening and he tells people what is happening.
Yes. And then they say they got exciting news, right? What is fantasy on this page? Mikey, what's fantasy on this page?
That there's an actual game show that's fantasy.
Okay, that there's a game show, yes.
There's talking insects.
There's talking insects, that's pretty fantastic, that's fantasy. How does the swamp setting impact the events and information? How is that important? How is the swamp setting important to this whole thing? Ivy?
It's important because the dragonfly is under the water and they're pulling her with a leaf. So like that's like where she lives.
That's where she lives, very good. So, let's stop and summarize what has happened so far. So far I've read a fun story about a game show that also presents real facts and information about insects. I've learned the following about dragonflies. They are insects. The nymphs can live in swamps. The nymphs hide from predators. They become predators themselves. I'll read on to find more information.
You're just in time to hear a message from our first mystery guest. Dahlia, do you remember this voice? I'm so glad you made it to the surface without being eaten by some nasty bass. I remember the day I deposited you and your brothers and sisters. You were all such sweet, tiny eggs. Mom, is that you? Deposited. If you deposited something in a place, you left it there.
So, where's the mystery guest hiding? Thomas?
Behind a leaf.
Behind a leaf. Now, what details on this page could happen in real life? What could happen in real life? Jensen?
There could be a mystery guest.
Oh, could there be a mystery guest? I don't think that could happen in real life. Teddy?
The dragonfly can be behind the leaf.
A dragonfly can be behind a leaf. That could happen in real life. What else could happen in real life? Avery?
And it says, I'm so glad you made it to the surface without being eaten by some nasty bass.
Well, can a dragonfly talk?
Oh no.
No. Can a dragonfly deposit eggs? That could happen. And you're right, a nymph can make it to the surface without being eaten. That part can happen. But a dragonfly can't say that to another dragonfly. So that part is not is fantasy. So which details are fantasy on this page? What is fantasy on this page? Alice?
The dragonfly talking.
Yeah, the talking dragonflies is definitely fantasy. I'm pretty sure you're not going to see that down at your local swamp.
That's right, Dahlia. It's your mother. Audience, take a look at this photo of young Dahlia. Have you ever seen such a cute egg? Oh, I found a perfect patch of swamp grass with tall, tender shoots. It was such a beautiful spot. I whipped out my ovipositor and went to work poking tiny holes in the blades of grass. I knew that laying my eggs inside would help keep you safe from hungry fish. By the end of the day, I had laid over 800 eggs. I was so exhausted when I finished, I just sat down and died. Patch. A patch of land is a small area where one type of plant grows. The ovipositor sequence. Dahlia.
Okay, so look at the illustration on page 28. What does the inside of the dragonfly egg look like? What does it look like, the inside of the egg? What does it look like? Logan? The inside of, what does the inside of the dragonfly egg look like? On page 28. Alice?
It's like yellow with a dragonfly inside.
Okay, there's yellow. Hetty?
It looks all slimy, and the dragonfly kind of looks like a worm.
It looks worm-like. Yes, you're right, it looks worm-like. Does it have legs?
Not yet.
Not yet. Does it have wings?
Not yet.
No wings, no arms. What word does Bob Beetle use to describe the egg? Everyone?
Cute.
He says it's cute. Let's keep going.
We all know how that goes, right, audience? It's the story of an insect's life. We hatch, we grow, we mate, we die. Dahlia, you stayed tucked inside that blade of swamp grass for several weeks. Then one day, your egg casing split, and you, a white wiggling nymph, slipped into the open water of the pond. Ooh.
Oh, so why does the audience member say ooh? Why does the audience member say ooh? Why do you think they say that? Ethan, why do you think the audience members say ooh? Juliana?
They say ooh because they're interested by the picture with grass and her coming out of the grass in the water.
Okay. Why else? Teddy?
What was the question?
Why do the audience members say ooh?
Oh, because because what happened looked fascinating.
Okay. Oh, it's fascinating. Yes.
They're interested in what's happening.
They're interested in what's happening. Yes. That's it.
They thought it was interesting.
They thought it was interesting.
And that's where our next mystery guest found you. When I saw you, Dahlia, you looked so tasty. I was young, taking my first dive out of the nest. and I was starving. You would have made a perfect snack. I know this one, Bob. I'll never forget Box Turtle, the most frightening beast I've ever met. He slid down from a lily pad and tried to eat me alive. Poor Dahlia, what did you do? The only thing I knew how to do, wiggle. You wiggled all right. You wiggled your rear end into the muck at the bottom of the pond. Before I had a chance to gobble you up, you disappeared under a pile of dead leaves. Box Turtle stinks. Hooray! High six.
So how does the audience feel about Dahlia and Box Turtle? Anastasia?
They don't like Box Turtle, they like Dahlia.
Yes, they're not fans of the Box Turtle. And how do we know that? How do we know? Clark, how do we know they're not fans of Box Turtle?
They're like saying, like Box Turtle stinks.
Yeah, they said Box Turtle stinks.
On the day you became a nymph, Dahlia, you also became a hungry predator, and you found a new way to travel. Your water jet system helped you zip through the water at rocket speed. Can you tell us how it worked? Ah, mosquitoes. Get 'em, gang! I'd love to, Bob. My water jet was the best thing about being a nymph. You see, while I lived underwater, I needed gills to breathe. My gills are a little different from the ones you see on fish. Mine are stuck inside my rear end. Lucky thing, too. When I learned to pump water with them, I shot through the water like a torpedo. I was one of the fastest creatures in the pond. No one could catch me. Gills, abdomen, thorax, head, antenna, dragonfly nymph. Shh. No one? Are you sure about that? Remember the day I beat you to that patch of mosquito larvae? Ha ha ha! I ate half the swarm before you caught up with me. Flash, is that you? Yes, Dahlia, that's right. It's your little brother Flash. Flash! I'm so excited. I popped my exoskeleton. It appears that Dahlia is splitting before our eyes. Flash, do you mind staying with us while she crawls out of that cumbersome exoskeleton? Split, Dahlia. Go for broke. Not at all, Bob. I can't wait to see the size of her wings. Cumbersome. Something that is cumbersome is heavy and hard to carry or wear.
Oh, so now what's happening to Dahlia on this page? Elisa? She's molting, right?
Dahlia, are you okay? You look a bit pale and soft. I'll be fine, Bob. I just need some fresh air. Certainly, Dahlia. Take your time. I remember the day I molted into adulthood. My skin felt so tight. Then it began to split. I crawled out of my exoskeleton, feeling a bit soft and dizzy. But after a few hours in the sun, I felt just fine. Folks, while we wait for the blood to pump through Dahlia's wings, let's take a moment to hear from our WBUG network sponsor, Bird Be Gone. Are you tired of being pecked and poked by killer birds? Frankly, yes I am. Wish you could finish a meal without losing a body part? Oh, honey, how embarrassing. Waiter, check please. If so, try new Bird Be Gone. Produced by King Crickets, this super stinky spray could save your life. Just a few squirts of Bird Be Gone across your abdomen, and birds literally hit the sky. Bird Be Gone. It's cheap, cheap. Imagine stepping out of the cover of darkness and chomping your next leaf under the summer sun. Officer Grubb says, think stink, kids. Now I'm living. Get bird be gone and get on with your life.
So who's this commercial for? This is a commercial. Who's this commercial for? Ivy?
The commercials for bugs if they're like getting attacked by killer birds.
Yes, but in specifically, who is it for? Logan?
Birds.
No, it's not for birds. And Anastasia?
It doesn't BUG channel.
Libby?
It's for other insects.
It's for the insects watching the show, for the game show. For the people at the game show watching the game show. It's definitely not for birds because we want the birds to stay away.
Welcome back to This Is Your Life Cycle. Dahlia, how are you feeling? I feel like a new insect. Queens and grubs, take a look at those wings. Dahlia, is it true that your wings allow you to fly over 50 miles per hour? Yes, Fly Guy, it's true. I'm one of the fastest insects on Earth. And because I have 4 wings, I can fly forward, backward, and sideways. I can hover, dart, and flip through the air. Ooh. Ah.
So what happened while the commercial was going on?
Dahlia.
What happened during the commercial? Olive?
She was molting into a firefly,
She turned not into a firefly,
into her adult stage.
into her adult part of her life cycle. So now she's a dragonfly and she's recovered, right? So she is recovered. But it also means that she's literally like a new insect. She has wings and no exoskeleton. She flies through the air rather than living in water. So she's totally a new insect, boys and girls.
That's quite impressive, Dahlia. But why do you need such fancy flying skills? Well, Bob, I'm a hunter. I can catch and eat just about any type of insect I please. I hate to say it, folks, but we're running out of time. It appears that Dahlia is about to flutter away to watch her brothers and sisters emerge. And when that happens, we're all in danger of becoming their first meal. Hope.
Oh, now how have the feelings of Bob, Beetle, and the insects in the audience changed from when Dahlia first arrived, and why? Libby?
They're all scared because Dahlia can eat them.
Yeah, now they're all scared because Dahlia will eat them.
I'm sorry to chase you off like this, but you know how dragonflies are. Dash, dive, and destroy. Once we emerge, the only thing we want to do is eat, eat, eat. I must say, some of your audience members look absolutely delicious. You heard her, everyone. It's time for us to buzz off. As the sun rises, a young dragonfly takes flight. Soon, new dragonfly nymphs will wiggle through dangerous waters, where they will grow and molt into fast-flying adults. Thank you all for joining us for this fabulous event. Goodbye, Dahlia. Until next time, this is Bob Beale saying, when the last egg is laid and it's your turn to sit down and die, just remember, this is your life cycle.